All right, let's talk about Mel Kiper.
Hey, real quick, because our friend Scotty B we can open this segment. Kiper was whining like a female.
Scott.
About Shedeur Sanders.
Look, Mel Kiper was whining like Mel Kiper, right? But I would have to disagree. I thought that I don't understand why Mel is taking so much heat. I have a hard stance on this. Yeah, I think that
Really?
I think Mel was right. I think that Mel was talking about, look, everybody has, this is the thing. This is my thing. Like, now I told you the reason that teams didn't take Shedeur, what I thought, right? Because after he falls out of the first round, now it's like, is it worth the trouble? But really, that's NFL organizations not necessarily doing their job, right? And like dealing with that. Like, he's the best player. They are deciding to take other players because the best player is not a bad guy. He's a pain in the ass. He's not going to get in trouble. He's a pain. We don't know that he's going to screw the locker room up. We just don't want to deal with it. What are you laughing at?
I so disagree with you about Mel Kiper here.
So Mel was
out of pocket, bro.
Mel was passionate. Mel was like, I don't understand. Everybody I talked to, everybody had this guy high in the draft.
All right, so we're going to play this clip. It's a little lengthy, I'll just tell you, but I think it's important we get the whole context.
I'm not going to, you know what I think is crap? We've been riding with Mel for 40 years, 45 years.
There's a lot of people that have thought he's full of crap for a lot longer.
Disagree. I'm not going to jump on Mel now.
Listen, your boy Todd McShay, I think has proven himself a really good NFL draft analyst.
Yeah.
I think Mel's proven himself a fool pretty often. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to play the clip, and I guess we'll just know up front. Scotty agrees with Reese Davis here. I think Pete agrees with Mel Kiper. And we'll come back and see what everybody thinks. Does that sound good?
Sounds good to me. Yeah.
Can you play the position? This is about, do we want you to play the position for us? That's what this
Why wouldn't they, Lou?
Well, look, that's a whole nother discussion that we've had in many different ways for weeks
I would say
and
that
months now.
This is not one of the toughest quarterbacks you've
But Mel, this isn't this isn't about quarterback traits and quarterback characteristics, personal football character. That's not about this. This is personal.
Has he had an off the field issue? No, he has not.
Mel, you don't have to sell it to me.
No, I don't know what we're talking about here.
You're right. You're right. Yes, you're right. But you know what? The draft has spoken.
That's right. That's the key, Mel. It's not putting a value judgment on whether those who passed were right or wrong. They did.
Yep.
So now, whenever you're in circumstances in life, whether you like them, whether you don't like them, whether they're fair or whether they're unfair, you might have to deal with them.
That's
and
right.
now Shedeur Sanders has to deal with
everything.
And for whatever reason, whether he played a minute, microscopic percentage, 0%, or it's a legitimate criticism of the way he conducted himself during the draft process, this was the result.
Yeah.
Now he has an opportunity to answer it. I think yelling at the NFL about it is not.
There's not a quarterback. Boomer Esiason was not happy when he was a second-round pick. Tom Brady was not happy. They dropped. How'd they turn out?
And you know what? And
nobody's arguing that.
My
that
point
can happen.
is, the NFL has been clueless for 50 years when it comes to evaluating quarterback. Clueless. No idea what they're doing in terms of evaluating quarterback. That's proof. There's proof of that.
How many
times? They say we know exactly what we're talking about with quarterbacks. They don't.
Nobody's batted 1,000 there, though.
That's correct.
Right? I mean, I think that's
all that matters now is what happens going forward. We talk about it all the time. There is the evaluation phase, there's the evaluation and selection phase, which we're in right now, and then there's the development and implementation phase. That's where we're heading to right now. That's all that matters for him. Kevin Stefanski, Andrew Berry,
and Lou.
Have at it.
Quarterbacks now, and Reese, you know as well as anybody, college kids now get paid. They're professional. They're getting paid. They're commercials. They're out there. You got to deal with that. If you're the NFL, you got to deal with that. Okay? He's saying whatever he's saying behind closed doors. What's he saying? I want to be the guy. I should be this. I should be that. Deion saying he's the best player in the draft. He's best quarterback, second best to Travis Hunter. Best quarterback. Who is it? What quarterback out there didn't think they should have been a high first-round pick?
Again, nobody's criticizing what happened. We're saying he has to deal with the reality of the result from it.
Correct.
That's all.
Pick
Okay,
140.
Shedeur Sanders, everybody wishes him well, as we do.
Dude, look. I don't know. Mel, like his brain kind of broke, so I don't know that we can be responsible for all of that. Folks on Team Mel, like when you short circuit, there's certain things that's like.
Listen, let me tell you why I cannot get behind Mel Kiper on this. I don't think he should be fired.
No, of course.
There's
dude.
people saying this crap. I just need to clarify. I'm not rooting for the guy to lose his job.
We're too online.
What I'll give you for 40 years, he's an entertaining television personality, okay? Yes. But here's the deal, Pete. He is absolutely off his rocker to make Tom Brady comps for Shedeur Sanders. That's stupid. He is off his rocker for suggesting that NFL teams don't know how to evaluate quarterbacks, but he does. You know, this guy's highest grade for a college quarterback ever was Jimmy Clausen. Okay, like he thought he thought Johnny Manziel was going to be a hit in the NFL. Like that's which is why I was off camera, but I'm cackling at Reese Davis, going, nobody's batting 1,000 here.
But in Mel's defense, he's been on the record for 50 years drafting quarterbacks, right? Like his record is more. You could no. First of all, there's been no GM who's been doing it for as long as Mel. All I'm saying is like Mel's got a pretty.
Okay, but there's a reason
Mel. A huge resume you could poke holes at.
But there's a reason Mel works for ESPN and Louis Riddick actually used to work in front offices.
Okay, I can tell you though. Yes, you're probably right. I'd be willing to bet that at one time or another, Mel was offered a job in the front office and he turned it down.
I feel like he would talk about it if that were true.
Or maybe he wouldn't. Maybe Mel's got a lot of class. Everybody loves him.
Listen, I'm sure he's a great guy.
Yeah,
he was off his. I think. And I understand this emotion, by the way. I might feel the same way.
It doesn't make sense. He's basically saying these teams.
I think he was embarrassed that he's never been this wrong.
But so was everybody.
Okay, but nobody else was freaking out about it.
But no, what I mean is, I don't understand that he would get that embarrassed because everybody else. It's not like,
everybody had him as a first round.
Everybody.
Yeah.
So it's like that's not on Mel. He definitely made it worse. I think that he actually took a gamble and a stand by being so out there on it and being like, really, he was pounding the table, being like, "This doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
but this is insane."
But I agree with Reese and Lewis in that obviously, Mel, we don't know something. Yeah. Like 32 teams. It wasn't the Steelers. It wasn't the Saints. It was 32 teams. 4+ times we're like, nope. Yeah. and I think that's what like Lewis and Reese are communicating. Like, yes, Mel, we all thought the same thing. And I love that Reese ends it by going, we're all rooting for Shedeur Sanders. Like,
yeah,
I hope he does great. Yeah. But it's like, obviously, 32 NFL teams, not just one, had an issue. They had something to happen,
By the way, what was our first sign that Shedeur is, for me, this is just a low-key reminder that this is really a super cool kid. And to why people in the locker room will like him. And we don't have to get so into this, but the prank call that was made by Jeff Ulbricht.
Horrible.
The DC for the Falcons now.
Yeah.
He was the head coach of the Jets last year. So his son gets a hold of Shedeur's number when he was home for like a weekend. So the son's visiting home from Mississippi. He goes to Ole Miss, sees, I'm sure he probably searched for it. He said he discovered, but he found Shedeur's number on like a top secret iPad that only NFL had, because they needed these phone numbers for draft day. The kid goes back to Ole Miss, makes the prank that everybody knows about at this point. And they asked Shedeur, like, what do you think? How would you want him punt? Shedeur's like, I don't care. He's like, it's boom, let's move on. And right away, to me, that's like, okay. Like, I think that's like, that is who the kid is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're moving forward. I'm positive. Like, and
I'm good. I just thought Mel Kiper was off his rocker.
He was, but yeah, he was. And now I'm kind of switching to something different. But like, I think that with all the hullabaloo and the negativity, I think that is who Shedeur is. A guy who's like, I don't want some kid getting in trouble. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
let's go forward.